Good morning. Hope you're having a great week. So how many idols do you have at your house? You know, like little statues you burn incense to or bow down before. And yeah, I'm thinking you're saying not so much. In 1 John chapter 5, verse 21, the Apostle John tells us to keep ourselves from idols. And most of us as Westerners are kind of like, no problem whatsoever. Okay. So Paul David Tripp tells about a time that he was on a trip. He was in northern India, and he's at one of those holy cities of Hinduism. And I've heard some stories. Hinduism intrigues me. Never really thought about being a Hindu, though. He said it was his first time ministering there, and he was on a 4-day introduction tour of Hinduism. They entered a temple that had the most horrific idol he says he'd ever seen. So he'd seen some idols. So he said, I had no idea that things like this existed. It was a huge, maybe 20-foot high image of a male sexual organ. Yeah, I said it. He said it, so I think it's a pretty discreet way of saying it. And he said that Hindu pilgrims around him seemed emotional as they entered the temple. They seemed joyous, grateful that they were there. Many of them laid flat on their stomachs before it. They kissed its base. It was one of the darkest spiritual scenes Tripp said he's ever seen. Through our translator, we interviewed the members of a dirt-poor Indian family who had walked for months to get to the holy city, to this temple that he says, a temple of darkness. The scene was so spiritually oppressive that all he wanted to do was to get out of the building. And when he got out of the building and out in the busy streets into the car, he kept saying to himself, I thank God I am not like these people. I thank God I'm not like these people. And then it hit him. I am. No, he doesn't worship idols like that, and it's not, but there are subtle idols. I remember hearing a long time ago that, you know, we don't have false metal images. I don't have things around my house that I bow down before. Although there are things like technology that occupy our time and our minds, and that's a whole nother area. But so often, it's not a false metal image, it's a false mental image. So we've got a guy, his name's Grant, he's working with our students, and one of the things he encourages them to pray during worship is, Lord, show me something new about yourself and show me something that I think about you that's not true. And that's that latter part. What's something that I think about you, God, that's not true? That is a false mental image. So worship is not something we only do in formal religious settings once a week. Oh no, there's practical worship all the time. That's why the Apostle Paul talks in Romans about don't be conformed to this world, okay? But be transformed. It's everyday life. God designed us to be worshipers. We will worship something. Everything we do is the product of worship. We are always giving our hearts to something. And if it's not God, if it's something God created, well, that is what leads to problems. All of this takes place in just the little moments of our lives. It can be a song on the radio, can turn your heart towards God, away from God. Anything turned toward God is good. Anything turned away from God is evil. I learned that in Theology 201. We need, therefore, moment-by-moment grace. And may I suggest to you, it's available to you every moment, every waking moment of every day of your life. Just be aware of that. What are the false mental images? What are the idols that beg for your affection? Ask God for the grace to turn away from them. It might not be as overt as what Tripp experienced, but he was wise to recognize that it's just as real, it's just different. Have a great day.